it kills you inside. That's why I do this for you. I do this for my father, who I've only seen from time to time in my dreams. I do this for you. I do this for my mother, who's finally clean, no longer a fan. I do this for you. I do this for my sister, my wife and my kids, cause they part of the team. I do this for all the naysayers and haters who made me one of the greatest. I know it kills you inside, that's why I do this for you.
I do this for the kids who sit a bit outside the mix, who maybe cope through humor just to fit in for a bit, who never let the world know when depression's setting in. To all of those who know you, that impression don't exist, and it ain't counterfeit, it's just a way to counter it. I'm living things I dreamed about, I still encounter it. It ain't something that a cigarette or alcohol can fix, but all because of it I flipped it quick, went on to write some hits. This a success, off another breath. This the first step in searching to be nothing less than be the best in what you do to prove their strength in being you. Learn so much in chasing dreams that I never would in school. Depends on where your passion lie, just no passion never lie. Life presents distractions, but your actions have to fortify the things that you believe in. Have to scream it like a battle cry and leave the ones who didn't looking stupid while they're asking why. Couldn't lie, I really do this for the ones I love. Those who treat the music as a vice and lyrics like a drug. Those who need advice on how to lift their spirit high enough to break out of the box they make of lives they know aren't good enough. Just because it's how it is don't mean it's how it has to be. This is what the uninspired testifiers fail to see. Jealousy results from being that which others fail to be, and if it means you're not with me, that honestly sounds fair to me.
I do this for my father, who I've only seen from time to time in my dreams. I do this for you. I do this for my mother, who's finally clean, no longer a fan. I do this for you. I do this for my sister, my wife and my kids, cause they part of the team. I do this for all the naysayers and haters who made me one of the greatest. I know it kills you inside, that's why I do this for you.
Do this for my mother, she'll be working for the summer. Do this for my father, cause these days I often wonder what my life would have been like if I was not adopted. To grow up in a home where I was treated like a problem. I don't know, it's just a guess. Your guess probably good as mine. Lucky that I grew up in a home that wanted me to shine. Lucky that I grew up around some mountains we were taught to climb. Without that inspiration, I don't think that this would be my life. Do this for my friends who've scattered all across the country now. I'm out in Sweden walking back through life so I can write it down. Make a living off the sound, so crazy to say out loud. I'm the biggest thing since Travis Rice to come up out the town. Sorry, gotta stunt a little. Used to have my dreams belittled, but it's all a part of it. I know people's minds are fickle, lines between reality and dreams I blur like faded nights. Come up been so good for me, I wish that I could make it twice.
I do this for my father, who I've only seen from time to time in my dreams. I do this for you. I do this for my mother, who's finally clean, no longer a fan. I do this for you. I do this for my sister, my wife and my kids, cause they part of the team. I do this for all the naysayers and haters who made me one of the greatest. I know it kills you inside, that's why I do this for you.
All right, y'all, good evening. I do this for you. Hey, I got people spamming questions in YouTube and telling me they can't hear me. It's obvious you don't know how the show works, and that's okay. Just slow down a little bit, man. We're going to be here all night. Now, I'm doing the show early because I got other things to do tonight, but I wanted to get it started and get talking and get popping. You guys know the deal. You guys drive the show. We're going to talk about what's trending. I'm going to go for as long as I can, and then once I'm done talking about all the trending things, I will get to the chat. There is no need to repeat your question. So, Wexty, I've seen you spam the same question twice. Don't do it. You'll get muted for the rest of the live. We don't do that around here. Write the question once. I will get to them. I don't miss any questions. I don't miss any comments. If you're on TikTok and you're trying to talk to me, you're wasting your time. Got to move over to YouTube. Put your questions in YouTube. Give it a like while you're there, guys. This is where I'm at. All right, so let's go do our thing. Let's get started, and we'll go. So, I'm going to kick off talking about what happened last night. Right before we got off the live, people kept calling P.J. Fleck and Minnesota a scandal. Oh, my God, did you hear about the scandal at Minnesota? You guys, there's no scandal at Minnesota. None whatsoever. Minnesota and P.J. Fleck are just the victims of success. Let me explain. There was a time when Minnesota was struggling immensely. They had a head coach named Jerry Kill. He is the current head coach at New Mexico State right now, and he's doing great. But he had some health issues. And then this other guy came in. And forgive me if I don't remember his name. It was like Clacy. That was his last name, Clacy's. And this head coach was the interim head coach, and he covered down. And they won 9 games. And right before the bowl game, Right before the bowl game, word got out that back in October, 5 players on the Minnesota football team sexually assaulted a girl. Now, they ran a train on her. And she complained about it. She didn't like it. Turns out there was 10 Minnesota football players in the apartment that night. All 10 got suspended, and they weren't allowed to play in the bowl game. One of them was Antoine Winfield Jr., now in the NFL, plays for the Buccaneers. But the point I'm trying to make is Minnesota had a scandal on their hands like you wouldn't believe. And the head coach, this Clayce's dude, comes out. And by the way, if you hear chewing in the background, that's Ash. I apologize. She's going to town on one of her toys. But this Clayce head coach went to Twitter and wrote, "My players have a right to protest." They were protesting and they were going to sit out the bowl game. He stood in support of the assaulters. Yes, he got fired. He got fired, and the next coach they hired was PJ Fleck, coming over from Western Michigan, knowing the recruiting pipeline, knowing the area, knowing the job. PJ Fleck takes over a program dealing with this, and the first thing PJ Fleck does is instill certain standards and conduct. I saw somebody in the chat wrote, he doesn't care for the NFL. I don't know who he's talking about. You talking about me? Okay, we'll get to it. But what I'm trying to get across is PJ Fleck inherited a troubled program. And when you inherit a troubled program, you got to put in some shit in place, bruh. You got to put some stuff in place. Let me tell you guys something. When I took over a company, I was a first sergeant in another organization. I was in charge of 100 people and 100 soldiers. As a senior leader, first sergeant, I get a phone call from this other sergeant major. He says, "Yo, Rico, I want you to come work for me. We got to fire this other first sergeant." I said, "Why are you firing him?" He goes, "Well, he disrespected his commander. He doesn't do this right. He doesn't do this right. He doesn't do." And I'm like, "Oh, we're senior guys. We've been in the Army 20 years. You can't be acting like this." I said, "I'll take it over." Got to my new company. Everybody was out of shape. They weren't in physical shape. I had people injured. I had people overweight. We were chaptering and kicking people out of the Army for being obese. I said, "What the hell is this? Why is everybody in this company fat?" They said, "Well, First Sergeant, I don't know. We're doing PT really hard, physical training." I said, "How often are we doing PT?" They said, "We do it Monday, Wednesday, and Friday." Wednesdays are run days, Monday and Friday. Well, Friday's sports days, and Monday is MSE, muscle strength and endurance days. That's when they do their push-ups and sit-ups. I said, "You're running one time a week, and you're playing sports every Friday? What is sports?" "Oh, we play ultimate frisbee. We throw around a frisbee and we chase it. It's like soccer, but with a frisbee." I said, "Oh, okay. All right, well, starting tomorrow, we're doing PT 5 days a week, mandatory 2-hour sessions. We will run at least 3 days a week, and Fridays will never have a sports day. It will be First Sergeant-led PT. I'm going to lead the workouts on Fridays. And if you're overweight, I'll see you on Saturdays. We're putting it on the training calendar." I went to my commander. I said, "This is my solution to this problem. We're going to get this entire unit in shape." And I'll never forget the command climate survey. They did a little anonymous survey, and all the complaints. "This new first sergeant's toxic. He's ruining our mornings. We're late to work. We can't." Dude, you ain't late to work, bruh. Your work starts at 6 a.m. with me. Yes, you're not going to be there at 9 o'clock like you envisioned, because you're going to be working your ass off until 8 o'clock. Then you're going to go home, take a shower, do your hygiene, get the kids ready, do what you do, and we'll see you at work at 9:30. I ain't stressing 9 o'clock. All meetings move to 9:30. COB, close of business. We're not going home at 1700. We'll go home when we're done with work from now on. I don't want to hear about everybody packing up shop and leaving at 5 p.m. every day. We're not bankers. And you know what happened? After about 30 days, a culture shift happened. New people came to the unit, and this was the only thing they knew. They didn't know a previous standard. They weren't talking, "Oh, well, we used to get 3 days off, and now the new first sergeant doesn't give us any days off." Nobody was talking like that. All they knew was the Rico standard. I don't need to show you my evals. I don't need to show you the amount of people I had maxing PT tests or walking around no longer obese, no longer overweight. I don't need to show you the esprit de corps and everything that took off. We won the Commanders Cup. We won everything in our organization. I give out more awards in my next 3 years than you could ever imagine because my guys were overachievers. And it all started with learning about one another early in the morning. If you work out together early in the morning, you learn people's strengths and weaknesses. You change the culture. You cannot change habits without changing culture. So I believe PJ Fleck had a very similar project on his hand when he got to Minnesota. And he went 11-2 back in 2019, and all of you guys are forgetting that. Try going 11-2 in a state with no recruiting base. How the hell do you go 11-2 in Minnesota? What high school kids is he retaining in Minnesota? Or is he having to win recruiting battles against Michigan and Ohio State to get quality players in Minnesota? And then is he having to develop them and coach them to be better? You know how good his staff is? PJ Fleck and his coaching staff, his running backs coach, Kenny Burns, just got hired to be the head coach at Kent State. What position coach is getting hired to be a head coach? Unless you're getting the right amount of mentorship and development from your head coach. So not only is he producing subordinate coaches that become head coaches at the FBS level, but he's making the most out of these players. And you got 6 or 7 or 8 former players complaining about how hard it is in Minnesota, about Fleck bucks. I told you guys, you are a product of your own hard work and reputation. Straight up. Try being late to work. Try getting a new job and being late to work the first week. When no one knows you, you have to build some type of credibility with your new employer, and it's your first week and you're late. What's going to happen? You're going to get fired. But over time, you can build enough rapport with your employer that maybe one day you can be late and they might just be like, oh, I'm a first sergeant, man. I'm out at work. They can't find me at my desk. You know what they say? Hey, where's Top at? Oh, I don't know. He's doing some first sergeant shit. Worry down, not up. You'll be okay, Ash. Ash is pissed. Now she's happy. She just figured out who's at the door. Shout out to the wonderful Kim Jones. She just came through the door. She just pulled up. That's why we started the show early, so we can get it done and go out and have a good dinner. Ash is going ape shit now. Apologize for the interruption. My point is you have to build credibility with your employer, with your coach, and if Fleck wants to keep track of that with Fleck bucks, more power to him. But there is no scandal at Minnesota. There's a culture shift, and you either have buy-in or you don't. They said it's like a cult. What the hell do you think Coach Prime is saying? When Coach Prime says, we're coming. What do you think he wants? He wants believers. We call it Beamer Ball at Virginia Tech. Is that not a cult? We call the whole thing Beamer Ball. If a player were to come out and say Coach Nick Saban is a substandard coach and he mistreats us and he has too high of standards, anybody going to listen to that player, or are you going to say, well, that coach has a lot of credibility? That coach has, he's worth a grain of salt. We know what he does. He wins. What do you think PJ Fleck does? Back-to-back 9-3 seasons, you guys think he needs to be fired? 9-4 seasons, I apologize. Come on. We're not doing this. There's no scandal at Minnesota. There's a bunch of babies who don't need to be there. And shout out to Northwestern, because I think a lot of your players wouldn't have made it at Minnesota either. All right, Colorado going back to the Big 12. We know the deal. They're going back to the Big 12. It's official, and they'll be there next year. Now, I made a video about this morning, and not a lot of people agree with me. But people need to understand what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, first and foremost, stop giving Coach Prime any credit for this. This is ridiculous. This is an entire sports department, an entire university changing their affiliation to a different conference. This obviously started way before Coach Prime ever got hired. And this is for every sport. This isn't a football move. This isn't just a football move. This actually has no relevancy in football, if you ask me. Moving forward, in the future, The Big 12 is going to be known as a basketball conference only. Let me make that very clear. There will be 2 football conferences in the Big 10 and the SEC, and there will be a basketball conference. Like the Big East is known for basketball, the Big 12, having been, what were they, national champs? 2021? 2022? Back-to-back national champs. You guys don't talk about the Big 12 like that? Big 12 will be known for basketball. So this move in itself is just perplexing to me. I get it. You want your $31 million. But here's my thing, guys. Big 12, they have no backbone. The Big 12 is so desperate, they'll take anybody interested in them. They just took 4 group of 5 teams to try to replace their 2 studs they lost. Don't get it twisted. The Big 12 is scrambling. They got a TV deal. Congrats. But they just signed BYU, UCF, Cincinnati. I'm missing one. Houston. Those weren't marquee programs. Those were enough to try to fill the void that they're losing. And now they go grab Colorado with the hopes of enticing one more, right? It's just a scramble, bruh. The lights are on. It's that we're at the club and the lights are on. We can see what you really look like. The fact that you take somebody who rejected you from 10 years ago and you act like it ain't shit, let's bygones be bygones? Nah, that's crazy to me. You jumped ship the last time we had rumors popping. You can't come back to me. Have you guys ever been in a toxic relationship before? Am I the only one? Am I the only one who knows about toxic relationships? You're dating one person, then you go look out and you see somebody else you like. You realize, oh, all that glitters ain't gold. They always say the grass isn't always greener on the other side of the fence, Rico. No. Sometimes the grass is fake. Sometimes it's turf. The grass isn't always green. Sometimes it's green as hell, but it's fake. Colorado as a university, sure. Everybody going, well, they had to jump off this Titanic, Rico. It's a sinking ship. How about the 2 best teams in that conference left, or the 2 marquee programs left, the Blue Bloods? Now it's your chance to take over the conference. Who gives a shit who left? It's your chance to lead that conference. And you can't lead it? You're not built for that? Just because the Blue Bloods left, you got to leave too? Now you go to the Big 12. You ain't the Blue Bloods of the Big 12. You're not who they're depending on to carry the conference. That's bullshit. You're just one of the scrubs that just showed up. I'm telling you, man, this is ridiculous. People need to understand. When you go to a conference, your goal should be to win the conference, to represent the conference in bowl games, right? Let's talk about bowl affiliation. Colorado can't win the conference and go to the Rose Bowl. You just lost out a chance to go to the Rose Bowl. Does it matter? Yeah, watch. It matters to school payouts, but they're not going there, bruh. They're panicking. There's no TV deal. We're out. There's no TV deal. We're out. I'm telling you guys, if there was a man out there who was married and the minute he got fired, his wife told him, go get another job. You just got laid off. Go get another job. And he couldn't find another job right away. He says, give me some more time. Give me more time. She's like, I already told you, go get another job. I already told you, go get another job. He's like, I'm looking. And then you come home one day and she's gone. Furniture, gone. House, empty. And you just left there like, what the hell, dude? I told you I was trying to get another job. No, you talked too long. We're out of here. I'm going to go back to the guy I was with before I met you. You guys got to understand. Colorado in this analogy is the jaded woman. I used a quote earlier. I said we can't trust these, can't trust these women. And somebody said to me, well, Rico, it's like you want commitment. You got the analogy wrong, Rico. It's like a woman who wants a long-term relationship and she keeps asking you to commit and telling you she wants to get married to you and you won't commit to her. So she's going to go be with that guy who has a nice car, a nice house, a nice job. And I'm looking around going, if you were asking me for commitment, why the hell were you negotiating and talking with somebody behind my back? Well, there's no loyalty, Rico. It's sports today. They got to get theirs. They got to get the money for theirs. They got to get theirs. Bruh, the 2 Blue Bloods just left the conference. Carry that motherfucker. Carry it. You believe in your program so damn much? Take it over. You be the blue blood of the conference. You win the damn championships. You get all the bowl bids. You don't go to a conference where you're going to end up ranked 6th, 7th, or 8th in the conference. I just don't agree with the lack of integrity by leadership, by leaders, right? Decision makers. I don't like it. This has nothing to do with Coach Prime. This has nothing to do with the football team. It has everything to do with people who make decisions for these universities. Because of this dishonesty, look at all the realignment that's needed. Look at everybody scrambling. Can you believe, you know what's the coldest move? I'll tell you guys the coldest move. The Big 12, shout out to them. The Big 12 knows exactly what they're doing. When they signed their TV contract, they put a damn bullet in there. And it said, if we add more teams, you're going to pay for them at a prorated rate. And that is why Colorado gets paid the first year they're in. That is why. That is why they're enticing. That is why somebody else is going to join the conference. Because the Big 12 went out and said, hey, just so you know, we plan to expand. We would like you, ESPN, ABC. We would like both of you to be okay. But when we get more people in, you got to pay us more. You're going to have to cover their cost as well. Because it's part of the, the glitter. All that shines is glitter, bruh. Shout out to the Big 12 for being ruthless and doing what they do and getting the teams they need to get. But Colorado, I'm telling y'all, you're not faithful, bro. You belong to the streets. You went to the highest bidder. Going to the highest bidder doesn't help a conference, doesn't help a team. Going to the highest bidder is exactly what Nebraska did when they left the conference. And look what happened in Nebraska. They left the Big 12, they showed up, and they went what? 12-4, 12-4, 12-4. I'm sorry, 9-4, 9-4, 9-4. Fire Bo Pelini. Winning 4 and 6 games a year. Because they went to the highest bidder. Had they stayed in place, they could have been on top of the Big 12 in recruiting. They could have been on top of the Big 12 in prestige. And when Texas A&M finally left and Missouri left, there wouldn't have been a void there. You wouldn't need West Virginia to leave the Big East. I can go on for days, guys. The only reason all this realignment occurs is greed. And the greed is TV contracts, and it's not nearly as lucrative as winning tradition, winning bowl games of significance, winning conference championships, winning rivalries. You know why you don't hear about Cal and Stanford flirting with leaving the Pac-12? Because they have an allegiance to one another. You think USC was going to roll out without UCLA? Nah, dude. Colorado has no affiliation to anyone. They're just some vagabond, bruh. They're just some vagabond, and they just went back. They're a trick, and they went back to their pimp. Real talk. After getting smacked around and saying, I'm leaving, this ain't good for me, I'm gonna go be over here, I'm gonna go get a real job. And then after a while, they're at their real job, they go, well, I didn't get the raise I was promised. I'm gonna go back and be a trick again. That's what it is. I can't believe everybody's okay with this. Everybody needs to understand, as long as everyone keeps up with this greed, you'll never see anything that resembles college football. What you're going to see is no conferences, 2 conferences, 3 guys. It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. It doesn't. And I see somebody in the chat says, remember, CP loves recruiting in the South. Bruh. The football team doesn't matter in this regard. The conference, moving conferences is about universities, not the football team. Coach Prime ain't going to be there, bruh. Coach Prime is going to leave somewhere. He's either going to get hired or fired. That's what happens to head coaches. He's not going to be there. He's going to leave at some point. And then you made this move for Coach. You didn't make the move for Coach Prime. It's not even a part of the equation. Please understand what I'm saying. Coaches come and go. And then you're left to pick up the pieces. What are we doing here? It doesn't make sense, guys. Remember what I told you. They're going to be a basketball conference for the rest of their lives. I don't know what the Pac-12 is going to be. Let me be very clear. Somebody go, well, Rico, it's a sinking ship. No shit, it's a sinking ship. But before USC and UCLA put holes in that boat, somebody in that conference could have said, yo, let's circle the wagons and let's rep this shit. Let's own this. Instead of being a chicken ship move and saying, we got to jump too. We got to get the hell out of here. This place is on fire. You guys just aren't built from me, bro. You guys aren't built from the same cloth I am. Somebody quits, well, then I'll just carry that weight too. And then I'll be the guy in charge. You don't just start jumping ship. You're not going to be left with a bag. Nobody's left out there blowing in the wind. It doesn't happen. Point them out. Point out who didn't wait, who waited too long. What happened to all the teams in the Big East when everybody left for ACC? None of them were left out to dry. None of them came up short. Everybody turned out okay. You know who didn't turn out okay? West Virginia, the one team that left the Big East for money and went to the Big 12. They're the ones who rolled out. And West Virginia at the time was a perennial power, one of the best teams in the country. Pat White, Geno Smith, Steve Slayton, Tavon Austin, Rich Rodriguez. They're about to play for a national title. West Virginia was everything. And they left the Big East, it's a sinking ship, and went to the Big 12 for money. Tell me how that worked out. How about you just sit tight, and then eventually there'll be an agreement with somebody, you combine and you'll be straight. I wish you guys studied this shit. Because nobody, I just said this right now, and no one's going to even care. No one cares. Jalen Ramsey's injured. Got carted off the field today. Look, I hate to say it, but I love to say it. I told you so. I told you the Rams won this trade. The Rams gave up a third-round pick. The Rams got a third-round pick for this dude. He's on his last year of his guaranteed money. He's got 2 more years on the contract, but it's not guaranteed. They can cut him. 0 cap hit. I already posted my video on this. He's getting $12.5 million this year. He's not even going to play. Injured his knee. I'm telling you right now, maybe he gets back. Maybe he's okay. Maybe he's okay, Rico. Maybe. This is not an all-pro corner. I hate when they call him an all-pro corner. It wasn't an all-pro corner last year. Stop calling all these guys what they once were. Tell me what they are right now. They should say vagabond. They should say journeyman. Because that's where he's at right now, caliber-wise. I can't get down with anything else. So it is what it is. I told you guys, Jalen Ramsey, 1 year with the Dolphins and he's gone. I said it. They're going to cut him. Because they're not going to pay him. He's going to have to restructure his contract or he's got to go. He's not worth the $15 million. Watch it happen. So I got everybody asking me about Joe Burrow. I don't know anything about Joe Burrow. So let's go. Is Joe Burrow hurt? Did he get hurt? Carted off the field at Bengals training camp. Calf injury. Well, let me say something. Number one, if you have a calf injury, it's a muscle. It's not the end of the world. It can be okay. Doesn't seem like a tendon. Now, they need to talk about it. If it is a ligament or a tendon or a bone, a calf injury, you can help a calf strain. It can take time. But that's not good. That's not good. Woo! Shout out to the Bengals. You're in my prayers and I don't pray, buddy. So you're SOL. Hey, shout out to Saquon Barkley. Everybody wants to talk smack about Saquon. I was reading this article on Saquon, and let me tell you what I learned. That's a mature kid, man. That's a mature young man. He said, hey, guys, I was sitting with my family, and I was thinking, I'm going to probably sit out this year, holding out because I don't like the $10 million they offered me. I'm not going to play. And what if they have a bad season? You think they're going to turn around and pay me $13 or $15 million and give me a long-term deal after they have a bad season? He goes, no, I had an epiphany. They're not going to do that. So I got to do what I love, which is put my damn shoulder pads back on and go out there and play football. Now, in this 1 year, if he hits all his damn incentives, which are almost impossible to hit all in the same year, 65 receptions, 1,300 yards, 11 touchdowns. If he does anything like that this season, the Giants can franchise tag him because they didn't use the tag this year. Now, they can tag him a second year, but when you tag the second year, there's an additional 20%, I think, raise on top of it. It's insane. It gets really expensive. You can't tag a guy. You don't want to tag a guy second year. But if he plays lights out, somebody's going to give this man a contract. At least you'd think. But even if they don't, and you do 3 years in a row, 2 tagged in this year, that's your $30 million, bro. You made as much as a running back's going to make. Take your $30 million and roll. It's not $12 million next year. It's 11. You're saying they will tag him next year for $12 million. Of course. You're taking your money, though. You're getting paid what you want to get paid. So what? They didn't promise you a 5-year deal. You're not going to play past 30. Nobody does. Shout out to Cordell Patterson. It's just not happening. So take your 10 a year and call it a day. I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it. The second-year kicker is going to be too much. Yes. Hey, if you didn't hear, Roger Craig is a finalist for the Hall of Fame, the senior committee, right? Senior committee. Roger Craig and Tom Coughlin have been advanced to the semifinals or the finalists. There's about 30 people in the finalists. I want to remind people, you guys all talk about who's not in the Hall of Fame, who's still up for it. I've done many videos on the Hall of Fame and the long line and why certain people aren't getting in when you think they are. There are players that you guys think are getting in the Hall of Fame, and they're just not. And it's because of the line that's forever long to try to get into the Hall of Fame. So at some point, you got to rely on the senior committee. And here's Roger Craig trying to get in on the senior committee. There's another player trying to get in as well, and I want to talk about him, Ken Anderson. Maybe you guys don't know, Ken Anderson in 1981 was the MVP of the NFL. Quarterback for the Bengals. Got him to the Super Bowl. This is a 4-time Pro Bowler. Could you imagine an NFL MVP, 4-time Pro Bowler, and he's not in for 20, 30 years? Not in for 40 years? Think about that. It's happening. It's right now. So just something to think about. We're good there. Hey, while I talk about Jalen Ramsey, I just want to remind you guys about this interview here. Let me turn it up a little bit for you guys. You guys can enjoy it. This is the zestiest interview on the internet.
Did you just not want to hear it at the end when he came up? I think he came up to you.
Yeah, nobody worried about him. He came to me, you know what I'm saying, on some disrespectful stuff. You know what I'm saying? The game over with. You still mad because I was locking you up? All right, go sleep on that. I ain't trying to hear that after the game.
So you vowed that he wouldn't get in your head. But you managed to get in his head, do you think?
What you think? You tell me. You tell me. Anytime I lined up on him. Yeah, y'all go watch that. Y'all tell me who got in who head. He came up to me after the game. You feel me? Y'all tell me who got in who head. You an old man acting like that.
Yo. That was Jalen Ramsey. Guys, I think he's in line to see Barbie. All right, before I get to the comments, before I get to the chat, check this out. I want to go over transactions very quickly, though. I'm not going to go over all of them. I will tomorrow. But some I want to point out because I've been talking about some of these guys over the last couple of days, and I think you guys should remember it. So Mekhi Polk, wide receiver, when he got released just the other day, I told you this is a 100 reception guy at Mississippi State, right? So he went to Cal, couldn't really start there, didn't get much going, transferred to Mississippi State, and then at Mississippi State he went off in the SEC. He skipped his last year and he went to the league, and he got undrafted. Undrafted wide receivers don't make it in the NFL. Got cut, but here he is. He got claimed off waivers by Baltimore. Another guy, and then they released Andy Isabel. It just sucks for Andy Isabel. We'll see what happens, but they had to make space. Sign one, let one go. Another guy I want to talk about, shout out to Jalen Hurd for being here. I'm looking for guys that are claimed off waivers. It's really important you guys understand that process when somebody gets claimed off waivers. One more guy. There he is. Sterling Weatherford, linebacker. Claimed off waivers by the Rams. This is the guy that the Colts cut last year. And they were going to sign him to the practice squad, and they just said, nah, we're not doing that. Right? He's from Miami of Ohio, all-MAC linebacker. And when the Colts cut him, the Bears said, nah, we want him on the active roster, and they signed him to the active roster. Really pissed off the Colts. So here he gets cut again, this time by the Bears before training camp, and the Rams say, nah, we're not letting him go. We'll take him right now. And they claimed him off waivers. So that's a coveted, wanted young man. 6'4", 224, good linebacker. Shout out to Cody Shrest. I'm telling you right now, Somebody at Green Bay in their scouting department watches my channel. I talked about Cody Shrest. I told you he wasn't going to make it in the league, but he's a good young player. He looks like he should be playing for New England, right? He's a small little white wide receiver. All small white wide receivers play for New England or Green Bay. And here he is. Played at Sam Houston State last year, and Cody Shrest can play some ball. So the Cowboys cut him, and now he just signed his contract with the Green Bay Packers. Here's what I want to say to you guys. I don't think he'll make the Packers. The Packers are just too good. But he might make the practice squad, and that's all you could ever ask for these young men. Now let me get to the chat and see what we're doing. Shout out to the 81 people watching us on TikTok. You can move over and come kick it with us on YouTube and actually get your questions answered. I'm answering questions from everybody over here. We got 60. We can do this 140 together. Let's rock. Thank you, guys. Let's get after the chat, and then we'll call it a day. Shout out to the wonderful Kim Jones. Step one, step in. Check out ricoknows.org for your merch. Thank you very much, Steve. Reminder to everybody, if you want to get any merch, T-shirts, hey, want to see a dead body, your friends don't know, but Rico knows. Whatever you want to do, go get it. Make it happen. Thank you for anyone who ever makes a purchase. I appreciate you. Do you think Jackson Dart makes the same 2-year jump Matt Corral, Ole Miss could win the West? So, Wexty, no. I think Jackson Dart can make the jump and become better this year. But even with Matt Corral, they didn't win the West. So what the hell are you talking about? How are they going to win the West? Now, I like Ole Miss. I like everything they did in the transfer portal. I like a lot of their team, and I love Lane Kiffin, and I want them to beat Bama. If there's ever a year they can beat Bama, it's this year. They almost beat them last year. And Bama doesn't have a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback this year, right? So looks pretty good. Been rewatching all your NFL draft reviews. So insightful. Connor Forma. You know, this is why I make playlists. If you go to my TikToks, instead of watching the videos through my homepage or waiting for your For You page, go to my homepage. At the very top, above all the videos, there's a bunch of rectangles, about 25 of them, different playlists. Pick one, and then watch all the videos. One of them is NFL Draft Review. Shout out to you, Connor Foreman. I'm glad you're watching them. You're probably learning more than anybody you know. That's awesome. Try to retain it all, because I hit on everything. I've been right multiple times. I keep making I am right videos. One guy goes, man, don't you get sick of making them? Hell no, I don't. That's everything to me. I wake up in the morning and I go, damn, I get to prove I was right again. These are receipts. You guys do your moves. You guys give your takes. You're wrong all over the place. Nobody says shit. I'll never be wrong. Are you kidding me? I got a comment this morning. I favorited it so I can get back to it. It said, Jake Haener will never play in the NFL. He's an XFL quarterback. Another guy said he'll be lucky if he's third string. He'll be lucky if he's practice squad. He'll be lucky that, hey, you'll be lucky if you're ever right about anything in sports. I'm letting you know right now. I don't miss. And if I do, I don't sweat it because shooters shoot. I make so many damn takes, I don't even notice when I don't hit. That's the bigger issue for some of y'all. Some of the haters out there, they're sick, bruh. They can't handle it. They can't stand it. You can't handle the truth. Who didn't get my Code Red video? It's pinned on my channel right now. You guys don't want the truth, bruh. You can't handle it. Can't hear you. Wexty, you can't hear me because I had the microphone off. How do you think this year's Colorado roster would do in the Big 12 opposed to the Pac-12? Andres Leon, I haven't assessed the Big 12 rosters in comparison to the Pac-12. That's very difficult for me to do when I need to look at every position group and compare it against its opposition. I also would need to assume what kind of schedule would they have, because there are some teams in the Big 12 that don't play everybody, right? Cincinnati doesn't play Texas, Oklahoma, K-State, Texas Tech. Like, certain teams in the Big 12 have a really easy schedule. And then Oklahoma State finishes with UCF, Houston, BYU. They play everybody. Like, Oklahoma State got the easiest schedule I've ever seen. So it's just one of those things. I'm not sure. I like Colorado's roster this season. I really do. Yo, Rico, how was your day, man? My day's going great, Corey. It's about to be popping for dinner, I'll tell you that. What up, Rico? Would you look at Jermichael Gillis and let me know what you think? Thank you. Hook, send me a DM. I remember those. Joe carted off the field, just talked about it, grabbing his calf. Okay. What do you think about my Falcons this season? Rise up. Andre Pennington, I don't. You asked me what I think about your Falcons. I don't think about your Falcons. That's real. He doesn't care for the NFL. It's just a waste of my energy. I just graduated college. What is a really good salary for me as a single man living on his own? First and foremost, Vic Sports Talk, I don't know your major. I don't know your location or geography, but I'll tell you what. If you're a graduate, you can join the military. We pay our lieutenants a pretty damn good wage. They live a good life. They're fancy. They got nice cars and houses. But there's no excuse for not having a job that pays your bills. Now, is money everything? Not necessarily. It's the only thing. Okay? So do what you can to survive out here. Do you want to live paycheck to paycheck? Everybody's been working every month, paying their bills. I just watched a comedian today, and he's like, when I see homeless people, I used to ask my dad, why are there so many homeless people? And my dad used to always say, well, there's so many homeless people because they're lazy. They're lazy and they don't want to work. And now that he's an adult, he looks around and goes, why the hell isn't there more homeless people? Because nobody wants to work. Every single month, every day of your life. Like, I grew up, my father's a construction worker. That man would get up and go to work in the blazing heat, construction working, and he'd be up at 6 in the morning. He'd be working 5:30 in the morning, 6 a.m., drop me off at school at 6. I got school at 8 o'clock. He's dropped me off 2 hours early because that's the only time he can drop me off there. My twin brother and I just shivering at a lunch table, just out there oh my goodness. Dad's going to work. And he worked his ass off all day, every day. Injuries. Nail guns going through his feet. Hammer. Hey, he'd be hammering a nail, just come home with swollen thumbs. Oh, it got me today. That's hard work, man. There's people out there working every single day of their lives. Do you want to be that guy? I'm telling you right now, I'm 40, bruh. I don't have it in me anymore. Is my quality of work amazing? You're damn right it is. I wrote an email yesterday. It took me 2 hours to write it. I read that thing. I thought, man, I'm still got it. I'm still an executive level leader. I can do this. I wrote 4 memos. Exhausted from writing memos. Hey, I'm a blue collar worker, right? No, I'm a white collar worker and I'm exhausted. But I'm still out there doing simulated hunts, something you guys call workouts. Do what you enjoy, Vic. Do what you enjoy. Which team in the Sun Belt are a tier above the rest? I think Troy is. I don't think anyone's a tier above the rest. I think the Sun Belt's just a really good conference. I think they're very competitive and they're good. Troy's a good team in the Sun Belt, but I like a lot of the Sun Belt. Don't get it twisted. Sounds like Sean Payton at Denver had to rework culture. I'm with you. I understand what you're saying. Will Kellen Moore and the Chargers be a match made in heaven, or is that too optimistic? Stephen Newman, I don't believe in heaven, so that's just folklore. They're a match made in, I don't know, Star Wars. They're a match made in, what's a city in Lord of the Rings? I have no effing clue what you're talking about, bro. You're talking about a book of short stories. Shout out to Harry Potter. Kellen Moore, though, not a great offensive coordinator. I've never seen someone do less with more. Sorry for the pun. I've never seen someone do less with more like Kellen Moore. The only person worse is probably Dave Campo. Shout out to him being a terrible coach. Joe Burrow carted off. Every successful, enduring program has cultish tendencies. They all buy in and believe in the program. 100%. We're looking for believers, not just followers, right? Colorado's my dark horse to win the Pac-12 in basketball this year. Sounds absurd to me. Sounds absurd, Connor. Aren't all conferences scrambling besides the SEC? Chaz Crawford, you watch too much ESPN. The SEC does not have the best TV contract. All conferences scrambling besides the SEC. No, not a chance in hell. What in the world are you talking about? Bet San Diego State won't be looking to go to the Pac-12 now. No TV money, no teams, Mountain West, baby. Well, we'll see. I'm still convinced SMU is trying to get to the Power 5, and once you start seeing other teams get there, they're going to be fine. It's no different from other conferences rebuilding themselves. If you hear that constant patting, that is Ash's tail slapping the couch. She's super excited. She's getting pats and rubs. She's doing a great job. None of these conferences are acting from a position of power besides the SEC. Chaz Crawford, you are severely uninformed. The Big Ten has the best TV contract, and they are acting from a position of power. 100%. They have the best TV contract in the land. They are the biggest conference. They have the most teams. What are we doing? Just stay uninformed. It's gross. It's gross. Hey, Rico, were you able to gain some knowledge on Chandler Martin, linebacker from ETSU to Memphis? He had a good season at ETSU, and I think he can be an impact this season. Yeah, Juan Gutierrez, I went and looked at him after you mentioned him the other day. I didn't see anything remarkable personally, but I watch a lot of tape, and I watch a lot of players. So I just saw a guy coming up from the FCS, going to the FBS, group of 5. Not that big of a deal to me, just pretty normal to me. Top U.S. Army Private Travis King was the individual who traveled into North Korea earlier this week. Army needs some psychological evaluation prior to enlistment. Yeah, it can happen, brother. It can happen. I've been in Korea. I spent 6 months at the DMZ. I was in a what we call a detachment. I lived in a house on a hill. Military intelligence. We're just doing what we do up there. And I want to tell you that I had no desire to ever visit the DMZ or go up there, but I do have some plaque somewhere with a piece of fence from it. Yeah. You go to Korea, there's a lot of other things to do than to try to get into North Korea and make national news and make a fool of yourself. That's all I'll say. It's childish. It's immature. Right? Shout out to Bergdahl. You got to go over Dallas Munn's film. I have 6 Division I offers without a snap on varsity. Your name is Dallas Munn. You got to send a DM and not in here. Send a DM. Remember, I showed you guys Babino got recognized, and I watched his video from sending me DMs in here, but that's not what happened. He had to go send me a DM in real life. Rico, you wild. I get what you're saying. I personally like the move. Remember, Coach Prime, love recruiting in the South, kind of like more exposure for recruiting. You can recruit anywhere. Any team. Colorado is in the same state that it's in. Hey, Rico, any thoughts on the sumo wrestler that joined Colorado State's roster? Kerry Reynolds, I posted a video on it and talked about it on my podcast, on this live stream, days ago when it happened. So go find the video or go ahead and find the old live stream. I already talked about it. Shout out to you. Prime's gone in 3 seasons. Book it. He can leave in 3. That's a decent buyout price. It's not that we don't care. It's that we can't do anything, unfortunately. He's fine, calf strain, reporters are saying. Yeah, like I said, it's a muscle. Damn, the West Virginia example of leaving the Big East and moving to the Big 12 is spot on. Whole program completely crumbled. And no one wants to talk about it, Connor. They don't like me, bruh. They don't like me, man. Hey, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just a man with a lot of knowledge. Don't shoot me. Where you think Chester Lester III is going, number 1 corner in 2024. He's going wherever he signs to go. I don't care what he says. I don't care what he announces next weekend. He can change his mind over and over and over. So I don't talk about recruiting for that reason. What's up, everyone? Where's Bobo? I had a tennis question. Exactly. He's 40 love. This weekend he'll announce. I wonder what Rico has to say about it. Absolutely nothing, Julius. I don't care. It's $12 million next year. They'll tag him. Yep. Thoughts on Matt Rule? Darius Jones, I just posted a video on YouTube and TikTok within the last 3 or 4 days about Matt Rule being one of my top 25 head coaches that got a new job. I believe he was number 8 or 9 in the polls. So go find it. The playlist exists. At the top of my TikTok, there's a whole playlist on YouTube. The video's there. Top 25 new head coaches going into next season. I already have Matt Rule in the top 10, I'm sure. So go find the video. There's a playlist for it. Gavin Forsha on your top 50 defensive transfers. Gavin is not on my top 50 defensive transfers. Do you know the reason Matt Balis really left Notre Dame? No. There is going to be backlash if he is franchise tagged next year. There'll be backlash, Chrissy, but it's part of the business. It's what we do. It's what they do, and there's still money in his pocket. It doesn't matter. Like Patrick Willis. There you go. Any thoughts on the Sumo? Never repeat your question. He wasn't that good. Hall of Fame should be for people who change the game. Chaz Crawford. Unfortunately, this isn't true either. Chaz Crawford, you're 2 for 2 for being uninformed, bruh. Have you ever been to the Hall of Fame? The Hall of Fame has different wings. It has different wings and different departments when you go in the Hall of Fame. So there's people in the Hall of Fame for different things. But when it comes to the bus and actually getting 5 people in, when you start looking at it, it's not for people who change the game. It's for the people who got the most votes that year. 5 people get in every year, there's going to be 5 people in. They didn't say to themselves, well, who transformed the game? Who created the backwards pass? Who created the forward pass? Who created – no, it doesn't work that way. Just so we're clear. These old school quarterbacks weren't all that. They were just game managers. Chris E., NFL MVP means he was the best player in the entire league. He wasn't just a game manager. He actually was a 4-time Pro Bowler. Very different. When you start looking at old school quarterbacks, the way you think, you're misunderstanding what they were doing. They just had a different role. That's like saying these current running backs can't carry the ball 30 times a game. That's just not true. It's just not asked of them. They can carry the ball 30 times a game. It's just not asked of them, right? Old school tight ends didn't get 80 receptions a game, but if you sit here and try to convince anybody that Mark Bavaro wasn't a great tight end, they're going to look at you and go, you're crazy, bro. You didn't see him. right? Some of these quarterbacks are really good. They just weren't asked to throw the ball 40 times a game. That's all it is. It's an evolution of offense. Doesn't mean any less, right? There aren't running backs better than Derrick Henry in the Hall of Fame. But there are running backs with more yards and more carries. It's more production. It's just the way it goes. Anderson's numbers are similar to Aikman's without the Super Bowl victories, correct. And without the allure of winning on America's team. Amazing it took Coach Corral as long as it did to be enshrined. It happens. Aikman wasn't all that. He had studs on his team during those Super Bowl days, correct. Aikman, Namath, and Bradshaw, all mid quarterbacks in the Hall of Fame. Bradshaw won a bunch of Super Bowls, man. We're not going to do this. Eli Manning's going to be in the Hall of Fame. You call him mid all you want. He'll be there. Bronny released from the hospital today. Thank you for the update. Thoughts on T.J. Dudley being dismissed? I feel like Georgia would never. I talked about it earlier. I don't know what the infraction is. It's just a violation of team rules. And I think Georgia kicks players off for violation of team rules if warranted. I believe somebody wrote to me in a DM and said, Rico, if you knew what he did, you would understand why he got kicked off. That's all they wrote. They didn't give me any details. Aside from hiring a new coach and gutting the staff, what does West Virginia need to do to get back the Pat White era? Hire Pat White and join the ACC. So number one, I don't think conference affiliation has anything to do with it anymore. They need to get a Pat White in the program. Look at the roster and tell me where they're supposed to get. How are they supposed to have Pat White, Steve Slayton, any of these guys? How? Point them out on the roster. There's nobody great on that roster. There's nobody on that roster making you turn your head and say, man, that guy, he's amazing. Doesn't work that way. Joining the ACC could help. Getting relevant again, getting money, revitalizing it. Let me tell you what they need to do. They need to find a young, energetic head coach with a very interesting scheme. They need to go out and get one of these young wizards that gets players that want to be at the school. Yeah, I know that's why I said that Anderson has more touchdowns, but other than that, their numbers are very similar. Yeah, you're wrong about baseball. Marcus DeGilio. The two most exciting things about baseball that's happened in the last week, one team had a triple-double, right? Was it the Red Sox or whoever they were playing against? Somebody had a triple play, not triple-double, triple play. And they said it was the first 8-2-5 some shit triple play, right? 8-3-5 triple play. First 8-3-5 triple play since 1884. Bruh, I watched the play, and I fell asleep midway through the play. I had to go back and start it over. And it was just a highlight. And it was supposed to be the greatest thing that's happened since 1884. I fucking took a nap, bro. I took a nap mid-play. And when I opened my eyes, I had to start it over. I didn't have to start over. I missed nothing. I took a nap, woke up, and I still hadn't missed anything. Baseball's utterly boring. Utterly ridiculous. I can't get excited about none of it. Not a single ounce of it. I saw, too, the Astros cleared the benches to go and bump chests with somebody and argue over hit batters. I already told you guys, what makes baseball so unbearable is the unwritten rules. So one guy got hit by a pitch, and then a couple innings later, another guy got hit by a pitch, and then a guy hit a home run, and then they talked smack, and they did this. Bruh, play the game. Play the game that nobody wants to watch. Play it. If nobody knows, Rico knows. Keep up the amazing work. Thank you very much, Norman Tucker. Thank you for supporting me. Do you think Ole Miss has a better roster in 2023 than 2021? Yes, I do. Your tails are literally top-notch. Your takes. Oh, my tails and takes. What's up? Thank you very much, Hip Bubbles. I appreciate you. I've seen more Hall of Fame highlights from Joe Burrows in his short career than most old Hall of Fame quarterbacks parading in a gold jacket. A lot of that has to do with, Chris, not all NFL games are televised. The fact that you get to see every single NFL pass thrown by any quarterback and it's on video is far different from back in the day where not all the games were televised. Did you know there is no footage of the first Super Bowl? There is no footage of the first Super Bowl. The game, in its entirety, was recorded over. We know it happened. There's a box score. There used to be footage of it. But today there is no footage of the first Super Bowl. Bart Starr won it. We don't know. We can read the box score, but we don't have footage of it. So, yes, a lot of these old quarterbacks, you didn't see all their throws. They weren't all on camera. And now everything's recorded. I've seen more footage of Byron Leftwich than anybody. What do you think about Mariota coming out of college? Why hasn't he panned out now? So, Connor, I loved him coming out of college. It's a Chip Kelly product, and most Chip Kelly products don't play well. They don't translate. This is why DTR didn't get drafted where they thought he should. This is why LaMichael James didn't quite measure up. It's just the way of their offense. Like, his offense gives you advantages on the field, manipulating hash marks. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's a genius. I've studied his offense so much. You guys, I'm an offensive coordinator up here. I'm a defense and offensive coordinator in my mind. I really am. And when I go and study offensive schemes, and I can really appreciate what Chip Kelly's doing, but it doesn't translate to the NFL. And a lot of it has to do with hash marks. I'm not even joking. But it just sucks. So, yeah, Mariota didn't measure up. Hasn't gotten it done. But I don't think he's terrible. I think he's one of the top. What did I put him? I put him 6th or 4th. Did I put him 4th all time? Quarterbacks? College quarterbacks all time? I got him I think 6th overall. I'm not even joking. Better than so many other guys you're thinking of. Not going to lie, you got that Bradley Martin ego. I don't know who Bradley Martin is, but whoever he is, he ain't built like me. I'm telling you, he ain't built like me. I know he's a bodybuilder dude, and he wants to fight MMA guys, but I don't know what his show's about. I've never heard him. He's not cut from my cloth. I'm actually credible. I am him. I'm not faking it. I didn't go lift some weights to overcompensate for what I am. They always ask me, Rico, what do you lift? Doubt and depression, bruh. I lift doubt and depression. I don't even lift weights. I'm just built like this. You just meet me in the street and get nervous. Look down at the floor and pretend like you're lost. It's real talk. Anyways, your mark, Big 12, using those moves he learned at Rock Nation. Yeah, he did. Chestnut checker. Shout out to him. Checkmate. Big 12 just need to get Oregon, and they are complete. We'll see. Would be interesting if the Big 12 added UConn and Washington and Florida State four corners approach. Yeah, so nationwide conferences is not a big deal. It's already being done by the Big Ten. It's already being done by the Pioneer Football League of the FCS. So there's multiple conferences that have coast-to-coast conferences. That's pretty normal. What is a big deal is, I told you, the Big 12 is going to become a basketball power. And getting UConn and becoming a basketball power, and that's how you stay relevant as a conference. Because other than that, your football notoriety is going to fade away. It's not going to measure up the way you envision. It's just not. You need to find a way. Do something. Get somebody. Do something. What college team has an overrated offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator? Both offense and defensive coordinator? Overrated, meaning I think too highly of them and then they're not that good? See, I don't think anybody's overrated because they're rated exactly where I would put them. Does that make sense? So if I got to go off the top of my head, I think it's Clemson. Right off the rip, Clemson. Their new Moore hire, I don't think he's any good. And who's their defense coordinator right now? It escapes me. It'll come back to me some point during the live. But let me go Clemson. Great talent, great head coach. Offensive, defensive coordinators leave a lot to be desired. But I don't like to think of anybody as overrated. That would mean I think very highly of them. Too high than they deserve. I think everybody's perfectly rated right where I have them. FSU going to the Big or SEC. Both conference want FSU. FSU ain't joining the Big 12 ever. Yeah, so FSU's the most lucrative team in the ACC. They're worth the most, so everybody wants them. But anything is possible. Chargers offense will be good. Cowboys, on the other hand, will be absolutely terrible. Yeah, Chaz Crawford, you don't watch ESPN. I don't know what you do. Chaz Crawford, I don't know where you get your information. It's got to be from the barbershop. It's got to be from your friends. It's got to be from somebody who doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. You think the Cowboys offense is going to be terrible? Absolutely terrible? You have no idea what you're talking about. It won't happen. When the SEC and Big are offering full membership, yep. Thoughts on Temple wide receiver Jose Barbin or edge Jordan Layton? Not much thought about Temple. Let me tell you about Temple's wide receivers. Doesn't matter who it is. They better get open this year, and they better catch all their passes, right? Because E.J. Warner's throwing that rock. Now, when you have somebody out there slinging it like that, defense is going to be on the field a lot, and they're going to be exhausted. We've seen this at Tennessee. We saw this at USC. So they need to figure out what they're going to do with their depth on defense. They lost a great linebacker in the portal. This good young linebacker I like, but I don't have much to say about Temple players outside of get it done. You should review Peyton Willis, running back from Ringgold. What's up, Rico? Hope you check out Mike Franklin at UTEP soon. I think I already have. Big 12, $31 million payout is peanuts. True story. Not sure Big 10 wants an AAU member. Blah, blah, blah. Rico, hey, those are all clean, by the way, that were in the dryer. And in the hamper, those were clean. Thank you so much. Rico, would you ever do any D-line film review? I just posted a D-lineman last night. I just posted a defensive lineman last night. Tell me you guys don't watch my videos on my profile page. Tell me you wait till they show up on your FYP. Look, TikTok and YouTube are going to do you dirty. They're not going to show you all my videos. They're only going to show you the ones that everybody's clicking on. But if you want to see all the content, you got to go to my homepage and look at each individual video. That's the only way to get through it, bruh. Hate to break it to you. When the time comes, who do you think will replace Saban? I think it's Dabo. Okay. Sounds about right. Rico, what are your thoughts on Jose Barbin? You already asked me this, yes? Please don't repeat your questions. I will get there. Bo Bergdahl, shout out, you MFer. Super fast, dog. What's up? You didn't hear? Bo Bergdahl, if you guys didn't know, he's the guy who walked off the fob in Afghanistan and then became a prisoner of war for 4 years, supposedly. Ended up getting a court-martial. Turns out they're overturning the court-martial because the judge, the military judge who gave it to him, actually, they're saying he was influenced and lied. He did lie. They asked him what he's planning on doing after retirement, and he said nothing. Turns out he was already applied to be a federal judge. So he did. He went in line with what the president had said to do on public TV. So because of that, they overturned the Bergdahl stuff. Just FYI, if you guys didn't know that. I don't like to get into politics. I just wanted to give you an update. How's Patrick Willis not in the Hall of Fame? Lane, he's not in the Hall of Fame because there's a very long line. I wish you guys were here for my breakdown on the Hall of Fame. I don't want to do it right now, but the Hall of Fame can only let 5 people in every year. And there's no chance you get in the year you're available. Not if you're Patrick Willis. And then the following years, like Patrick Willis needs to somehow hope to get in. There's only 2 slots available in a couple years. Like 1 year, there is Ben Roethlisberger, J.J. Watt, and Tom Brady. That means only 2 guys got a shot to get in because those are all locks. So who else is getting in? Well, I don't know. You got to compete with Torrey Holt and Reggie Wayne. You got to compete with, like, Devin Hester. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. You got no chance. There's such a long line. It'll be years. Eventually, though. You never know. AAU membership does battle, but academics higher. You guys are arguing amongst each other. Cam Newton was an MVP. Don't mean he's Hall of Fame worthy. Chris E. We're aware. He didn't do 4 Pro Bowls in a row, though. We're aware. Today at practice, we talked about West Virginia, and we still can't understand why we left the Big East. Hilarious. Mark B. was a beast. New York Giants. Bravaro, yep. Better prospect based on position, Harrison Jr. or Bowers? Brock Bowers. He's a unicorn. It matters as long as they keep main corners schools. FSU will need to be open a medical facility, and it's AAU compliant. Yep. Whose player you thought was very good but never got attention, college or pros? What do you mean I thought he was very good but never got attention? I'm pulling for a ton of guys who aren't getting attention. I'm trying to give them attention every day. Are you trying to say who I thought was going to be great in the NFL and they weren't? Is that what you wanted? Is that what you're trying to say? Sky Moore. Sky Moore. That's the first guy that came to mind right now. You think Notre Dame makes the playoffs this year? I know the schedule is brutal, but most of the back, they add Hartman, which was huge. Oh, Lane, you're got me confused with somebody else, Lane. I have Notre Dame losing 4 games in a row. I have Notre Dame losing 4 games in a row this year. Well, every school when admitted to the Big Ten has been AAU, FSU lost out, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Do a video on DB High out of Ohio. Go Flow, G Flow. You got your own channel. Do your thing. Make your own content. See how it works out. Do you think Burrow deserves to get a big contract? Yes. Yes. Probably the biggest. With or without, da-da-da-da-da. This is all facts about the old school quarterbacks and video footage. People don't understand. Thank you very much. Who's your favorite X's and O's Y's? My favorite coaches, X's and O's Y's? Jay Huncho, my favorite offensive coordinator in the country is Zach Kitley, the offensive coordinator at Texas Tech. My favorite head coach is Jeff Brom in that regard. Offensive coordinator, X's and O's type deal. So there you go. Defensively, it's hard to argue against Ryan Walters, the new head coach at Purdue, being a defensive coordinator and knowing what he's doing. So there you go. If they want them, They haven't pulled the trigger. Stop. Oh, my bad. My man stepped and got shown facts. I can't help him. They won't say it publicly, just like how they did with USC, UCLA. FSU are looking for an out. ACC without the financial penalty. They've said it publicly many times. They had a meeting and they brought it up. They said FSU is pretty clear. Hey, we produce. I think they're the third most producing school in the country, third highest producing school of revenue, and for some reason they have to make an equivalent amount of money as Boston College, because in the ACC we split all our revenue equally. So they went to the conference meeting and said, we just can't be doing this, guys. We can't stay relevant on the national scene sharing money with you guys, getting a portion of our revenue. We create this much revenue, we should have this revenue advantage and stay relevant with all the other perennial powers in the country. And it really pissed off everybody at the ACC meeting. I did a video on this. I talked about it when it happened. So they are saying it publicly. So not a done deal. Do you think that snake in your backyard would have a chance at life if Gangster was back there, or do you think he would have had a snap? LGZ7. If you guys don't know, LGZ7 is a childhood friend of mine. We grew up together. I believe I met him when I was 6 years old. We've known each other our entire lives. Shout out to you. What up, E-Money? So I had 4 dogs growing up. I had a dog named Sheena, pit bull, cool, very nice dog, very polite, very similar to Ash, just polite and friendly, but we had her little moments. And then she had a puppy named Hulkster. We named our dog Hulkster. Now I had another dog named Sharky. That's a whole other story. He was a husky. But Hulkster, named after Hulk Hogan, was this black, maybe he was black, pit bull, vicious, meat eating, and we loved it. And Hulkster had puppies, and in the first litter that Hulkster ever had with Sheena, there was this tan pit bull. And this is the height of Snoop Dogg, height of, all the dog. Who were those dogs in that Top Dog? And Red Bull and all that. Red Dog? Was it called Red Dog? All those shirts when they had dogs playing pool and poker. There was a bunch of this. This was the height of dog paraphernalia. And we named our dog Gangster. That's his name, Gangster. Gangster is the most vicious pit bull I've ever seen in my life. I'd say he's equivalent to whatever people are breeding for, illegal dog fighting. We had these guys outside. My father did not believe in dogs being in the house. These dogs lived in the backyard. They didn't know if we came or went. They were in the backyard. Like, my dog is happy to see me every day when I come in the house. She greets me at the door. She wags her little tail, loves me, licks my teeth, my feet. I said my toes and my feet. She has a great time. Give her loves, cuddle on the couch. We're cool. She's got a dog door. She can go out backyard, mind her business. My dog is domesticated. Those dogs that we grew up with were carnivore killers. They were not domesticated by any means. If it got cold, we opened the garage door and let them in. The garage. Never stepped foot in our house. They were vicious. We would feed them carcasses of turkey and chicken. Today they'll be like, oh, you can't give them poultry bones. They splinter. We didn't. No, my father didn't talk like that. Just threw out the carcass of the turkey, all the bones and stuff, and we just threw it in the dirt and just turned around. You turn back around, it's gone. It's missing. They ate everything. They didn't chew on bones. They ate bones. These things were vicious monsters. So what LGZ7 is asking is if my dog Gangster would have eaten that snake in the backyard. He knows Gangster, and the answer is a very simple yes. Gangster would have came back to me just licking his lips. I ate me a snake. If you guys don't know, I posted a video on TikTok. My dog, Ash, who's not quite as vicious, she was riled up. She kept running back in the house, running back out to the backyard, running back in the house, looking at me, shaking her head, going crazy, going back outside. She wasn't acting normal. So I finally looked out the window and said, what's going on back there? And she was in a low pouncing stance. She was fighting a snake, y'all. I had the camera on. She was fighting a snake. So I recorded the whole thing. I went out there, grabbed a shovel. I didn't kill it. I picked it up, and I threw it over the fence to the neighbor's yard. True story. So, yes, Gangster would have ate that snake, just keeping it real. As a Clemson alum and Chargers fan, this stream is bumming me out. I love Clemson. I love Clemson and everything they're doing. I think their players are great. Sorry if you're bummed out. Judkins, sleeper Heisman this year. Most running backs don't win the Heisman. To be a sleeper Heisman, you would need to be the reason your team is undefeated. And running backs don't win the Heisman. There's a bunch of other running backs that have a shot to win the Heisman. I want to say of all the running backs that have a shot to win the Heisman, number 1 is Braylon Allen, number 2 is Blake Corum, and then 3 would be Judkins. So he's the third dark horse running back. But I believe that Michigan and Wisconsin have a much better chance of running the table, and the reason, if they do, would be their running backs. So that's where I'm at on those. I have, Braylon Allen at Wisconsin, Blake Corum at Michigan, and then Judkins, probably third. Where do you think C.J. Carr is compared to the other quarterback recruits in this class? Do not care. Cowboys have Mike McCarthy calling plays. Rico, you know absolutely nothing about football. If you think that offense will be good, he doesn't know how to correctly script plays and was one of the reasons Rodgers led the league in throwaways for years. Yeah, I know nothing about football. Why are you here, Chaz? Chaz, if you think I know nothing about football, why are you talking to a guy who knows nothing about football? I don't understand that. If I saw a guy and he was teaching us how to cook and he was using ketchup, I'd be like, man, this guy don't know shit about cooking. And I'd change the channel. I'm not going to sit there and tell him he doesn't know anything about cooking. You ever seen an obese person giving advice on fitness? What about a homeless man giving advice on finances? This shit doesn't happen, bruh. It's not out there. I do this for an absolute living, Chaz. Chaz, I get paid to do this, and I do this for a living. And then you come in here and say, I don't know anything. You know absolutely nothing about football. I know absolutely nothing? Do you understand what you're saying? That's an absolute, bruh. I'm not worried about Aaron Rodgers. He doesn't play for the Cowboys. Whew. Slat routes. You mean slant routes and double moves don't work anymore. It's not 2005. Whoa. That's impressive. That's impressive, Chaz. Chaz Crawford, you know absolutely nothing about me. Nothing. It's not a done deal. Okay. Do you think Drew Brees is a lock for a Hall of Fame spot? Yes, that's ridiculous talk. LSU Tiger Sports. You've been asking me softball questions that they're not cool. Asking me if Drew Brees is a lock for the Hall of Fame. Who the hell else would be? Who the hell else would be? So they don't have offers. Oh, I don't know what you're talking about, Steve. They aren't going to the Big 12. You're talking about teams getting offers. Moore has tons of potential. Give him some time. Maybe I'm biased because he played for my Broncos. Okay. Like I said earlier. What do you think Chase Brown brings to the Bengals backfield, and how do you think his game will translate? So Davin Gabbs, I believe he brings tired legs. I believe he's been overused. I'm not a big Chase Brown guy. I don't think it brings much to the Bengals backfield. They had to get a young running back. They drafted one. That's what teams do. They'll get another one in a couple years. So what's he bring to them? A 2-year filler, 2-3-year filler, and that's it. Every running back coming in is kind of in that same boat. They're not going to be franchise-altering running backs. That's not a thing. So they're okay. Colorado board has just approved the move to the Big 12, and now it's for real, Rico. Yeah, I'm aware. Do you cover college BB when it's in season? Is that baseball or basketball? I don't cover either one in season. Basketball, I only cover conference tournaments and March Madness. If you had to pick your top 5 states to recruit in, what would they be? Austin, Tyler, that would depend. Where is my school? Where is my school in this scenario? Like, it's not just where do I want to recruit in. If I am located in Virginia, I'm picking Virginia because I want to keep all my talent in state. But top 5 states of recruits in high school football: Texas, California, Florida, Georgia, North Carolina. Give me those 5, and we're good. They're also the top 5 most producing professional athletes, by the way. Anything possible if you have an option, blah, 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 blah. Nice dog story. Thank you, Willie Bobo. had a greyhound named Gangster, and that MFer was a straight G, big-time killer. A greyhound is killing nothing, bruh. A greyhound, that's like a guy telling me, I'm really strong, I'm wiry. Yeah, you ain't shit, bruh. Is Dak a top 5 quarterback for you? No, Connor. Bubba, what up? Any bones are safe for dogs to eat so long as they aren't cooked. They're actually good for them. Dak isn't a top 5 quarterback, but he is a stud. Cowboys better think before getting rid of him. They better have Joe Burrow or Mahomes replacing him. No shit, Chris. What up, player? Bobo, what up? Even I know about football, yo. I got 20K that Rico will embarrass you when it comes to football knowledge. I got a lot more than that. Not true. He does know nothing. Do you think Tony Romo has a shot at the Hall of Fame? He has a shot on the senior committee for sure. He will not get there as a regular player, but in the senior committee, when we're all much older, yep, he'll get in. And people don't want to believe it, but that's going to happen. What did Romo do to even be considered for Hall of Fame? Does playing for the Cowboys get you in the Hall of Fame? No, but he's the franchise all-time leading passer. Tony Romo has some amazing years, some amazing stats, and he won 13 games multiple times. Yeah, he'll get in. His stats are up there. He'll get in. It'll be a senior committee thing. What do you think about Charlie Jones, Bengals draft pick? I think he's a stud, Davin. I like everything about Charlie Jones. I think he's the 4th best receiver on that team. Greyhound, LGC7. When it comes to calling plays and calling schemes, Rico can't hold my jock strap, buddy. This guy wears a jock strap. I love Rico's content because he's one of the only guys who backs up his stuff, but I know more about X's and O's than him. Chaz Crawford, you are in severe denial, bruh. Denial is not just a river in Egypt. Let me tell you, bruh. I am an X's and O's coordinator. I've been a coach for multiple years, and I'm actually better than all the coaches out. Like that you guys don't understand. I'm a savant in this regard. People who know me, like LGZ7 knows me, bruh. He knows me. People who know me, they're just sitting there in awe. Like, this really just happened. Yeah, I can just see things. I know offensive schemes. I know defensive schemes. You're embarrassing yourself. I'm good. Appreciate all you guys. Thank you guys for being here. Remember, your friends don't know. This guy, Chaz Crawford, doesn't know. Thank you for supporting the channel, Chaz. But I am not the average person talking sports. I'm not your friend. I am world class. Your friends don't know, but Rico knows.
I do this for my father, who I've only seen from time to time in my dreams. I do this for you. I do this for my mother, who's finally clean and no longer a fan. I do this for you. I do this for my sister, my wife and my kids, cause they part of the team. I do this for all the naysayers and haters who made me one of the greatest. I know it kills you inside, that's why I do this for you. I do this for my father, who I've only seen from time to time in my dreams. I do this for you. I do this for my mother, who's finally clean and no longer a fan. I do this for you. I do this for my sister, my wife and my kids, cause they part of the team. I do this for all the naysayers and haters who made me one of the greatest. I know it kills you inside, that's why I do this for you.
I do this for the kids who sit a bit outside the mix, who maybe cope through humor just to fit in for a bit, who never let the world know when depression's setting in. To all of those who know you, that impression don't exist. And it ain't counterfeit, it's just a way to counter it. I'm living things I dreamed about, I still encounter it. It ain't something that a cigarette or alcohol can fix, but all because of it, I flipped it quick, went on to write some hits. This a success, off another breath. This the first step in searching to be nothing less than be the best in what you do to prove their strength in being you. Learn so much in chasing dreams that I never would in school. Depends on where your passion lie, just no passion never lie. Life presents distractions, but your actions have to fortify the things that you believe in. Have to scream it like a battle cry and leave the ones who didn't looking stupid while they're asking why. Couldn't lie, I really do this for the